Guys, this is Blasting Jump Reports, not the theft podcast, but the video game podcast.
Could be.
It could be, but that's not us. We're better than that.
Not right now, it is.
Not right now. But they were talking about a legendary franchise, at least, I don't know, depending on who you talk to. We're talking about Forza Motorsport. This is a new, it's the 8th game, but they don't want to call it 8. They want to call it Forza Motorsport. So I'm going to give you my review. Mark, by the way, check out his Spider-Man 2 review. That will be up before this drops here. So,
okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you. I'm fresh out of honey.
You know me. I've before we even when we first sort of knew each other, like you knew me. I was a huge Gran Turismo guy. That's basically been my franchise. Not as much in the past. I'd say 5-6 years, but that was my franchise. Like sort of ever since I was a kid.
Anybody can fire a bullet. Few can actually steer it. Rated E for everyone.
It's hard to miss with a good game, even though some managed to somehow. But like I love my favorite subgenre racing, karting. Obviously, it's just like it's fun, wacky racing. Just throwing some items. I think like the kart race. I think my favorite item system in any kart racer is Mod Nation Racers. Like I wish they would just like make a new one just for that system.
It's a great system. It's a great system. I'm surprised no one else has really utilized that role.
Just rip it off, please.
It's great. It's been sitting there.
Like I don't need one. I don't need like a new Mod Nation where you have to create your own thing. I don't care about that. Just give me a racing game that has like same system, like same item system.
Yeah, absolutely. That progression of like almost kind of mirroring the PlayStation All-Star system of like level 1, level 2, level 3.
Well, it's not only that. It's like you have this meter where
the boost and or shield.
Yes, yeah. That was well done.
Absolutely.
Very well done.
Yeah, man. Like, now, I'm going to be honest, I think we probably would be able to do a Mod Nation. We've done a karting thing back on Tech Gaming Podcast. We definitely can do one on Mod Nation. I think we'll do probably, when it's not as busy a time, a selective game sort of review, like we have done.
Dude, my next anticipated game is WarioWare Move It, so, like, we're still in it. Like, yeah.
I'm saying months from now. We'll probably.
I gotta finish Mario Wonder. But I'm gonna have to take. The next fully anticipated game for me is Final Fantasy VII 2. That hasn't come out until
Oh Jesus! I know that had music on it.
My next anticipated game is Final Fantasy VII Part 2, and that doesn't come out until like near the end of February or March or something like that. So I got some good time before I have to take time off work for that one.
Yeah. That reminds me because what comes out? Persona, I believe, comes out in the not too distant future. After that point, Persona 3. So
that's good.
Who cares? You stupid fucking loser. Boo.
I'm about to be hypocritical, but I don't have much time in my life for RPG. But like except for that one, like I'm going to make time in my life for like Final Fantasy VII Part 2.
God damn it. Yeah, I understand.
I have to, yeah.
Yeah. I feel you.
Church bells.
Yeah, so I was like, damn, we got so far.
Final Fantasy VII Part 2 is holy. As soon as I said that, fucking church bell rings.
Yes, indeed.
But like, in terms of racing sims.
Yeah.
My only history with that is Gran Turismo 2.
Okay.
On the PlayStation 1. I played the fuck out of that. I remember I got it like as a Christmas gift, and like my parents like gave me like a little steering controller. Also, this was like before I was like fully into video gaming, because like before my friend, like I had a friend that like my own backstory, like my friend showed me Sonic, and like I went crazy with video games from there. I had a PlayStation just on the side, and it was like video games were just there, but they weren't like a big part of my life. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was like they were there.
It was a toy.
But it's a toy. It's like it's one of many things you could have been approached with as a kid and sort of dive into.
I remember I played the fuck out of Gran Turismo 2. That was like a really fun time. I was like, I was really invested into like buying shit for my car, improving it, racing it. I had a blast at Gran Turismo 2 back then. After that, I didn't really like bother with other racing sims. I got Gran Turismo. What's for the PS3? 4?
5.
5
is on the PS3.
5. I got Gran Turismo 5, just so I to make use of the. Well, we were looking at it, like to make use of my 3D TV. And it does work well. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like we can do that a whole thing where like we're racing each other, but we have to do split screen.
Yes.
Our glasses just show our different screens.
That's it.
On the same screen. I thought that was a cool use.
It's a brilliant use, man. And very few actually operated with that, but that's polyphony.
There was like one MLB game that did that, but like nothing else really did that.
Yeah, and everyone's playing MLB, Yeah, man. But it's one of those things where like, dude, it's crazy. It's wild that, the journey that you can go on from being like a kid and I just play this every once in a while. I just got into it just a little bit, and then you really kind of you find your footing into some things. Obviously, like you said, you're more sort of arcade leaning with that sort of thing. But yeah, in terms of Sims, like I'll be honest, like my dad had GT2, Gran Turismo 2, before I even could recognize like video games at all. So he was playing Gran 2 much earlier than I even played games. And that's the earliest racing sim, and one of the earliest games I remember. Very cool. But one of the coolest things to me was Gran Turismo 2 is, like we were talking about on Spider-Man 2, when you're talking about a console showcase, a system showcase game, Gran Turismo was the system showcase game. It pushed the boundaries of what you could do. And the funny thing is, it just all worked because of the fact that Sony didn't change their controller for 3 generations. So you basically were.
They're going through that ugly ass PS3 boomerang shit.
But because of that, you were just getting it's like, okay, so sure, the vibration was getting a little better. But what you were seeing really it's a system showcase of how powerful the games were getting. Because that jump from Gran Turismo 2 to Gran Turismo 3 visually was incredible. The jump from 4 to 5 was incredible. And again, I think Gran Turismo 4 is probably one of the best games ever made, just from a user interface standpoint. Gran Turismo is where, not only I found a love of racing simulators, and 4 specifically, but a love of, hey, this is what good video game user interfaces.
You know what I love about the PlayStation era?
What?
You knew you was getting a big game when the fucking case was fat, and it had multiple discs.
2 or whatever, yeah.
I saw the Final Fantasy, because those are like collectible items now.
Yeah.
I had the Final Fantasy, like 7, 8, and 9 PlayStation copies in there, and they're like fucking fat, like 3 disc cases.
Dude.
And like when you see a fat case, it's like, oh, this is a big game. This is definitely a big game.
Yeah. But dude, I mean that's super nostalgic, man. It's like it's one of those things where like you also when you get a good game experience, like you like again, I just want to jump at like Gran Turismo 4 set my experience, my knowledge of what makes where my expectations were set for a high quality racing game, because it had great music, it had great features, the menus were very crisp and clean. The display of things was very crisp and clean, and I'll talk about that here, but and what's funny is the next game after that, obviously there was Gran Turismo on PSP, which again,
how was that one?
It's great because it's like console quality on the go, but it's not as good as it could be, but there's limitations, but it's like...
what's that coming after?
That was, I believe, after... I don't know if it was between 3 and 4 or if it was after 4. But I know that Polyphony was not... They were like, alright, we'll do this. They didn't do a Vita one. I wish they did, because I couldn't imagine what a PSP PS Vita.
They could just port Gran
looked like.
Turismo, where the last one was on the Vita. Or the PS3 one.
What?
They probably could have ported Gran Turismo 5 on the Vita or something.
Oh, definitely. I don't think so.
No, I mean, they could have done that.
Oh, you mean like 4? You mean a PS2 game onto Vita?
What was the PS3 game? 5?
PS3 was 5.
Yeah, they could have just ported 5 onto Vita.
Yeah, that's true.
They could have just done that.
I mean, well, I think the issue is, unlike something like PlayStation All Stars, they push the technical limit, and also, they had to deal with the difficulties of that cell processor, just like every Sony dev had to. But I think they just didn't want to have to. Let's jump this over, jump tracks, have to deal with that, move on. The thing about Gran Turismo 5 is, that was a huge misstep. And so I not only learned in 4 what a great game is, but I learned in 5 what a misstep in a franchise is. Some of the cars were not polished, the sound wasn't polished, the music was less interesting than it was before. The car selection, again, not as polished. I think I already brought that up. The track selection was fine. Sorry. The track selection was fine, but it's one of those things where, as a game, it's like, oh, here's now, I know what a bad sequel looks like now. But at the end of the day, that got me off of Gran Turismo. Haven't really played a lot of Forza Motorsport, but I did play Forza Horizon 2.
You say you played all of them except for the newest one? It's newest one 7?
So I played Sport. I went back, I played on Mod's PS4, I played Sport, I jumped into Sport, and I actually love it. I actually love Sport a lot. I think, even though it's a smaller version, it's basically Gran Turismo 7 Prologue. You get that generation experience. It's visually...
I want to try 7 Motorsport just for the VR part.
So that's the other thing, and I'll bring that up too. It's like Gran Turismo 7 is definitely a bigger it's a great package. They understand what people wanted, and they did not limit themselves. It's a great looking game. It immerses you more than Gran Turismo ever has. It looks like they really are back on top, and I'm impressed with what Gran Turismo can do. But what I want to talk about now is I want to actually get into let's talk about Forza Motorsport. Forza was in a weird spot. Obviously, their last sim actually was delisted rather quickly. They lost the car licenses, which is very unfortunate, but it was one of those things where it's like, wow, that was very quick. You lost your licenses that quickly.
That happened. It's the reason we can't have a...
Outrun, right?
Outrun 2, specifically. Outrun 2006. They can't really port that anywhere, and they had to take it off the 360 and PS3 stores because they lost the license to the Ferrari cars.
So... here's what I'm going to do, Mark. I'm going to give you the best...
What you going to do?
I'm going to give you the best pitch for Forza Motorsport right now.
I hate it.
Brand new game. I'm going to give you the best... No, the best, here's the way to sell it, right? This is it. Right?
Alright.
This right here?
I hate it.
So here's the best pitch, right?
Boom! Sold! Alright, go on, sorry.
I keep leaving so many air gaps. It's too perfect. But this is the great value racing sim right here. This is, Walmart brand great value. That's what this is. It's the great value racing sim. This has very little personality. It has very limited vehicle selection. It has very limited track selection. But it executes its job in gameplay of being a racing sim. If you're looking for a racing sim, it does that. Also, Gran Turismo 7, it's great. But minimum, you gotta pay $70 and then $10 on top of that. Minimum, $80 to get to Gran Turismo 7. You know how much it costs to get to Forza? $17 a month, minimum. $17. And you can have an Xbox One, pay $17 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, and guess what? You have the newest racing simulator on your hands because you can play on a freaking cloud.
But here's the thing. Even if you pay full price for Forza, I'm pretty sure that one time you pay for the full price is with the exception probably DLC maybe.
What, the unlock key, basically?
Yeah, it's probably the only time they're gonna ask for money. because from what I know, Gran Turismo has like to add realism, has like those obscene microtransactions.
Yeah, that's definitely in Gran Turismo. But I will say, still as a package, like I don't, I think that this is a okay attempt from Forza. Gran Turismo does have microtransactions, yes. It's not as bad as what EA was doing at the peak of their evil, of course, but yeah, it's there. And I think that obviously, like, racing sims don't sell as highly. Obviously, Gran Turismo 7 I think is selling very well, but racing sims in general aren't selling as highly as they used to. Again, just because the market has changed, people are looking at different types of games to really, sell their system, look at what they want for their system. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is going to sell like gangbusters because it's Spider-Man. This, or, Gran Turismo 7 will sell on name recognition, but if you're looking for a racing game, you might go elsewhere just because that's the nature of how things work now. But, back to the point, this is a $17 a month game. And you can play it on Xbox One. You can play the newest racing sim from Microsoft right now for $17. Doesn't matter if it's okay, but it's a racing simulator. You want to get your feet wet in racing simulation, you got it right here. That's the magic of this.
I didn't have an active subscription to Xbox Game Pass. I've been using the Xbox all like that.
Yeah.
But right now, I paid about $1.06 for 14 days.
Okay.
I haven't been off it in a while, so I was like, hey, I was ready to pay like $20 for the Game Pass. I was like, hey, it's a bargain because I've been off it for a while. So it's like, hey, here's your, no, not free. We can't afford to give you a free trial, but like we can just give us a fucking $1 and we'll just give you access for like 2 weeks.
I think cloud gaming, to me, worked great. This was I'd say 9 out of 10 times it works just fine. So if you're looking for, and you have a good enough internet connection, you're going to be fine.
I played the entirety of Hi-Fi Rush over cloud gaming, and it works fine. There are some some hiccups. Like there was like a couple of timing with the parry system was off because it was rhythm based, and it was like I felt like it wasn't 1-to-1, but it was close enough, and I was able to complete the entire game just fine over the cloud, and like that's like if you have good internet connection, like the cloud gaming is not bad.
Yeah.
It works really well.
And again, that just goes back to the point that you can play this brand new game on Xbox One.
Like
the Xbox One from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's, this game is very approachable. And that's, I think, its core point here.
Yeah, a rhythm-based game should be impossible over the cloud because of latency, but I didn't have that much latency over the cloud, so it was I was able to complete a rhythm-based game through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. Getting into, so what you usually do, of course, when you go into a game, usually, you open it up. Let's say this is Christmas morning. Let's say that, you just got the game. First thing you do, you go into a quick race. You want to jump in. You want to play a game. You know what I mean? You want to just let me see what this is like. You know what I mean? Local multiplayer isn't in the game yet. This was already noted months ago. Not in the game yet. I do think that is a major flaw. I am very disappointed that this is not there.
Oh yeah, they said they were going to take that out for some reason.
They're going to take it out and they're going to put it in later.
Was there much people playing these games for a local multiplayer? Because I understand if it's not that popular, they would take it out.
For the base that's going to be playing racing sims, you always want to have local, just because we're going to want to show it off. We're going to want to, you know what I mean? Hey, I might just be living alone. And it just might be me, but if I'm going to bring a friend or family or something along, this is going to be my go-to game, as I'm playing, and I want to show it off, but, I want someone else to play with me.
Yeah, you know what, it would make sense if it was, a handheld game, or, a fucking Switch style or some shit, but it's, not everybody's going to bring their whole Xbox in, and, hey, let's go head-to-head.
Yeah.
And it's,
and I guess
back then...
Yeah, that's also the benefit of the cloud as well, the fact that you can still play this.
Yeah, because back then you would just just grab your memory card and just alright, here's my car. Alright, here's my car.
Yeah, that's it. That was the classic. But yeah, now it's just if you can load up your account on or profile on another Xbox console. Here are the pros. I'm going to roll through all the pros, the good stuff, that I think I love. Like you're going into Quick Race, which is called Free Play on Xbox on the Forza Motorsport. You can adjust your race length from low, medium, long to up to 1,000 laps long, right? Like you can adjust the time of day, you can adjust the speed of the time, like the progression speed. You have 3 levels of fog, dude. You have 6 levels of rain. You have 5 types of cloud conditions. You can adjust how much tire rubber impacts the track conditions. You have 8 levels of drivatar difficulty, which is basically the opponents that you'll be playing on that are kind of CPU-ish. An 8 level scale of that. And you can choose as high as 23 opponents. Like, you can adjust so many ways. Like, that's what I mean. In gameplay, this gives you the ways to play. Like, there's nothing wrong here with the variation, the options, the selection, the freedom to do all of this in 2023. That's awesome, you know? That is a great move. And so, like, I have to give it props for that. You can adjust car performance, obviously. In terms of your opponents, you can adjust, like, what years you want of performance types of cars, like how many, like what years, like do you want cars from 1911 to 1933 to race against you? Do you want cars from 1955 to 1940, 1972 to race against you? You can choose that. And these are all like, that's a driving simulator. That's a great move. Like I'm impressed, you know? But I have to talk about some of the strangest, and I mean some of the strangest structural decisions.
I like that you can choose a number of laps. There was, I forgot what car. It was probably like the first Sonic, Sonic and All Stars Racing Sonic
and Sega
All Stars Racing.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can choose a number of laps. I think you have like 9 laps, and I thought that was cool. Like more cars
Right.
anything unless you choose how many laps.
It's like 9, but that's a bit. It's like 8. Now we're at that.
I would choose a 9. I would do a 9 lap race. My favorite stage. That'd be like a marathon, like a sanity marathon.
And then you imagine 1,000 laps.
That'll be one live stream. Just doing a sanity marathon, just like a 1,000 lap on one stage.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. I have to talk about this, right? Again, I have to talk about some of the strangest structural decisions here. And so we're going to have to move to car selection, right? So, I'm going to let you take a look. This is Forza Motorsport's car selection. When you're in quick play and you want to play a game, this is Forza Motorsport's car selection. All right? Look at that. Look at the cars, right? Look at all these cars, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Now, this is Gran Turismo's car selection, right? Gran Turismo 7, new game, car selection. This is Forza Motorsport 2. 16 years ago. Forza Motorsport 2. You might see something a little in common here. Look at that car selection, right? Well, are you okay? Look at that. This is Gran Turismo 2. All 20 years ago. Now, I don't know if you're noticing something. This is, by the way, World Driver Championship from the N64. I don't know if you're noticing something, Mark.
Doesn't look like very much so.
But here's my point. Why is it that in your premier driving simulator, why did the developer choose the fact that you can only look at an image of a car? You can only look at an image of a car. You can't, if, let's say you want to show your family, look at these cars, guys. Or even if local multiplayer shows up, you can only look at a JPEG image of a car. Why is it that 20 years ago, and maybe this is a pet peeve of mine, I found this like a big deal. Like, how is it that the premier racing sim for a major console manufacturer does not at all put any interest or any effort into at least at the bare minimum letting you change the color of the vehicle, letting you look at the car before you select it. You can't do any of that before you select your car, before you race. You can't look at your car. You just go, you choose the car, and then you set your track limit and you move on.
Okay, so
that is a weird. Come on, man, that's a weird.
So this is complicated. if it wasn't up to the developers, I can only assume the car manufacturers are like specific on like how you showcase a car.
No, because these are cars that are in Gran Turismo 7. These are cars that
I know.
These are cars that are in Forza Horizon 2.
No, here's the thing though. They could have changed their standards. Like from what I hear, sometimes certain cars are like, especially with these like arcade racers that uses real cars. They're iffy. Like we don't want our car to show up damaged. We don't want our car to get crashed into.
Well, that's not about that. Yeah, I understand that. But that's not that previewing a car. Like previewing a car, dude. I can't give them like you're telling me previewing a car is like come on.
Can you customize the color on all these?
No, like you can't. I'm saying you can when you're in career mode, right? So you have the capability when you're buying the car in career mode to do all of this.
I'm not saying this is what it is.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All I'm saying is like, come on, like, this is a developer's interest. This is not a developer saying this is the same Ford lineup we just saw on Forza. I'm genuinely saying like I think that, and here's the thing, right? And this goes to the other point, right? Because even Mario Kart 8 lets you see the carts before you fucking
those are fictional carts. I'm just saying like it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's a fact. I haven't looked much into it.
Mark, you know what this is, and my theory is because I played Forza Horizon 2 a lot, and a lot of these cars and let me get off of a Gran Turismo.
I'm just saying standards could have changed.
Like I know, but my point is a lot of these cars were in Forza Horizon 2 10 years ago. They're relying on cars that they've had back as far back as that game. That means that they're only relying, most of the cars in this game are from past Forza games. And that's fine, but you're not presenting them, again, you're telling me that Forza Motorsport 2, 16 years ago, the developers had enough respect. No car manufacturer is going to block the ability for you to at least preview your vehicle. And I mean, I'm not saying test drive it. I'm not saying put it on a track. None of it. I'm saying to look at the car before you select it. That is turn 10 not choosing to put their cars in the best shape. That's all I'm like. That's nuts to me. This
is Forza, right?
This is Forza. That's what I'm saying. It's like all you have is you look at this car. Can you change the color? Can you look at the color? No.
Okay, so another theory I have is this is probably for completionist assholeish reasons where it's like, we're not gonna let you like strip this car naked. We want you. You're not gonna look at the all of its assets. You gotta buy it before you have the ability. You gotta unlock that. That's an extra incentive.
So that is another thing, by the way, is like when you play the game, when you go through and you want to go through quick race, it'll give you a prompt if you want to try any of these vehicles, and it's like you can rent the car. It's like this is arcade mode basically. What are you talking about? You can rent the car, and then they go through this and this is what you see. But this is the standard, like I'm saying, the process that I'm going through right now is the process you would go through. Let's say it was Christmas morning. Let's say it was, I just got this game for the first time. I want to play a quick race. Why is it so difficult for me to just see what the car that I'm about to play? Why is this so basic, man? Like, I am astounded.
Again, my two theories are theory number one, this is just a safe interface to please every car manufacturer, because maybe they all have their iffy rules.
How is that any more safe than? And I understand
because this is the safest.
I feel like I feel like you're doing devil's advocate. But for no gain. Like, that's like if it's Spider-Man. Like, instead of the buildings, they were just pixels. It's like we don't want to offend. They were just boxes. We don't want to offend. It's like, look at this car. Everyone who buys a racing sim wants to see the car as attractive and real as possible. I'm dead serious. If you're buying a racing sim, look at that. Look at how good Gran Turismo makes the car look on purpose. They want to sell you the car.
Which Gran Turismo is this?
That's the most recent. That's 7.
Okay,
This is 16 years ago. Forza Motorsport 2, dude. And this is... You can turn the car. Look at that. You can change the color. Look at it. What? This is offensive?
That's sexy as fuck.
The,
I know.
but it's like that's
yeah.
but you get what I'm saying? Like that's not like.
I mean, I'm talking not the car. I'm talking about the like.
And
the
then Gran Turismo 3, that's offensive.
I'm not saying it's offensive. I'm just saying they're playing it safe. It's possible.
They're playing it lazy, man. You are the developer of it. Like, you can't tell me that an N64 game has a better car selection option. I mean, it has a better car selection option. You can change the color. Look at that. Boom. What? Ooh. You can change the color in this game. Came out 30 years ago. Ooh, you can change color. Ooh. And
you know what? They could have had a budget too. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sure, but they have the models. That's the thing. All of these cars are preset models already. They have the models. That's what all these cars are models. You're not gonna have them on the track without them being models. Like,
I don't know, this looks like a basic menu for a fucking.
That's what I'm saying. Look at that's what I mean by the lack of personality. All right, so this gets me to the next point, right? All right, because I'm spending too much time on this point, but the allure, like the pull of a lot of racing simulators is the fact that you can drive cars that you always wanted. It's the cars themselves, right? A driving simulator that's like on the pulse of what's new and what's cool and what cars people want, that helps the car and it helps the game sell. Like, for instance, Gran Turismo 4. Gran Turismo 4 came out in 2004. You know what car was in there? The 2005 Ford Mustang, because people were so excited about that car. They made sure to communicate with Ford, talk to them, get the models, get the engine size, get all of it in a game that would come out the year before the car would come out. Like, that is smart. That's what you need to do. Gran Turismo 5, when Honda had concepts of the NSX model, Gran Turismo said, okay, can we do a render of your car and then have it in our game? And that grew hype for the car, but it also grew hype for the game.
They should like scam people who play these games and like for future cars, they should like add in features that don't exist, like it turn into a mech and have like seven like rotating cup holders.
Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. You get the actual car, doesn't do any of that shit.
You get the 7 cup holders though. But the thing about this game is there are very few cars from the 2020s, dude. Like, the 2020s are now 3 years in, about to be 4. There are very few cars of the 2020s. There's not, the Ford Mustang is brand new. It was just announced like a couple months ago for the 2024 year. Why is that not in this game? That's hype. That's like communication, hype. Simple. The Camaro, its last year is next year. Why don't you have the final year of the Camaro there? Because the thing about Forza is, because it's an American company, usually they communicate with American automakers. They don't even have the Challenger. They don't have a lot of luxury brands from the 2020s. They don't have vehicles from the 2020s. They don't have Hyundai, Kia. They don't reference any SUVs, even though SUVs are getting huge. It's just weird. It's just like, I know there's little that you have to say about this, but it's just a weird thing that a brand new racing sim has nothing when it comes to here's cars. Here are cars that we know that you want. Here are cars that we know that are going to appeal to our audience. And here's cars that are coming around the corner that we already have for you. And they have like a few cars from 2024 or 2023, but very few. A lot of their cars are from those past Forza games. They're just reliant on cars that have been in their sets for 10 years. And it makes this game...
have to reissue this license for those again, too?
Possibly, but it's a very weird, like...
I guess, are those, like, fan favorites? Like, how fighting games have, like, returning characters?
Not necessarily, because some of these cars are just there. Like, it's like... The 1980s Camaro was there in Forza 2, which, again, is 10 years old. It's probably the same model. Like, so it's like, okay, so these cars are here, but like, where's, it's like people want the beef. They want the new stuff as well. They don't just want the cars that were already in other games.
How much new stuff do you get in Forza?
That's my point. It's just strange. Let me move. So
okay, so Does do the motorsports get like as much DLC as Horizons?
Definitely not as much as Horizon. Horizon is just like more of an arcadey game.
Because they get kooky with Horizon. They like.
But they can because it's not a simulator.
That's what I like about it. Because it has like the kind of philosophy Microsoft Simulator does, where it's like we're a realistic plane simulator, but we'll let you fly that freaking bug from Dune if you want to.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how far they'll go. You know, the Top Gun vehicle, I think, was the flight car. That Top Gun plane was there.
Yeah,
so.
what's cool about it is, like, it's still realistic, but it's, like, their interpretation of how, like, this how, if it was realistic, that's how you'd fly it. If this was real life.
Right. Yeah, man. Let's move on real quick. All right. So, I want to do the same thing here. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the race for the cars. Let's take a look at tracks, right? So this is NASCAR 2004. Look at that. Full rendered track ideas, right? Here's what the track looks like. Here's a concept. Ooh, okay.
Is Race Now a brand?
No, that's NASCAR. That's NASCAR 2004, right? So
okay.
It's just saying Race Now, like quick race kind of thing, right? So look at that. And then Gran Turismo 4, again, 2004. Ooh, look at that. You get a presentation of what the track looks like. It's going on a journey.
I like that.
It's guiding you. Very smooth, very elegant, very nice. You want to immerse people in the experience? Look at that. Not too bad. Pretty simple. All right. And not bad. I didn't know I had this much footage on. And then look at it. This is Forza Motorsport 4. This came out 10 years ago. This is Forza Motorsport 4. You at least get a presentation of the tracks. Not bad. Not bad. Not a problem. You know, like, cool. Simple. Right? Okay, you at least get an idea of what this presentation
pretty fucking boring if you ask me.
This is what the track layout looks like on Forza.
Oh, wait, for reals?
I thought that
was the options menu.
You want to select your track, you get a little bubble on the side, a little image on the side, and that's it. That's it, man. You don't get a presentation, you don't get to see what it looks like before visually. You have to select the race, and then you see the track.
Okay, I was making excuses for, like, the cars part, but this is literally just lazy.
Yeah, and again, I love the adjustments. You can change the number of laps to 1,000. You can change the number of opponents to 23. You can change the weather.
If you heard that little sound bite, I was checking my phone real quick. Go.
Yeah, no, all good. You can change the weather to, like, 3 types of fog or whatever, right? But what's up with the fucking tracks looking like why is... there's no, like, what? You know, and again, like, so it's back to that same soulless menu design, right? Let me show you what you get when you load the track. This is it, right? So you get the logo, but then look at the simple text. Look at the way that they show the track. Then you get the track, but it's like, what are we...
yeah, I didn't get to what that was.
What are we doing? Like, why... You get what I'm saying? Like, you get the logo, and then you get this very basic, quick, basic text, basic render, and then you get the real render. It's like, what are we doing, man? How is this the best of the best of the best? How is this what you could have brought to the table, right? So,
So when did this come out?
Just like 3 weeks ago.
So, yeah, this could be like, we know people aren't going to pay full price for this. They don't pay.
So I'll get to that. I know what you're about to say about the long term and DLC things like that. But let me just tell you this as well, right? There are 20 tracks in this game. By comparison, Gran Turismo 7 has 34 tracks. Gran Turismo Sport, which was the prologue, had 29. Forza Motorsport 4 from 10 years ago had 26 tracks. 10 years ago, Forza Motorsport, 6 more tracks. Project Cars, a game that was fan-funded, had 35 tracks 10 years ago. That is
the indie games that like hit it hard.
That is
like most genres.
Yes, but like you are the premier racing sim, and you have 20 tracks. Now some of these tracks aren't bad. Like, and I appreciate that the tracks are none of these tracks are like real. There's a few iconic tracks, but none of them are like ooh. I'm sorry, not none of them. There are a few iconic tracks But a lot of them are like these secondary tracks that haven't gotten love from a lot of racing simulators. So it's like, okay, that's cool. You're giving love to tracks that have not been on screen very much. But this is like, it's like 20 tracks. You know, it's like, what are we doing? It's like, come on.
Again, possibly long term. Like, I'm guessing this is full price on its own.
Yes. Absolutely. Full price on its own.
I guess I'm not really expecting many people to buy it full price.
It's it's the Game Pass thing. But let me get to the thing that's key here. The key thing, so after all that negative, I do want to bring up the fact that, like, look, man, like, when you get to the racing, when you get to the gameplay, it's actually good. Like, it's like, oh, all right.
It is.
Like,
they're not good at controlling these. I like the little wheel grind feature.
Yeah, like, it's, again, like, you have the, you know, you can, the fact that, again, it's not as, when you talk about, you know, maximizing where you're playing, this isn't like as far as Gran Turismo 7, where in Gran Turismo 7, you can absolutely play on a VR headset. Yes, you can do that on Gran Turismo 7. We're not there yet on Forza Motorsport.
They have, like, Drive Club on the PS4. That looks
and they have
weird.
Drive Club. And that's more of a, it's in the middle, between arcade and sim.
I know. It's my own, like, racing VR game, and it's really good.
I'm going to be honest, I honestly love Drive Club as well. It's one of those things that it sucks that it killed Evolution Studios, but I love that game. But it is, again, back to the point that you can still play this experience on Xbox One. It's cool that, again, your vehicle, I'm going to go ahead and put the gameplay up here. There's a clear difference on how the same vehicle, like, will react in different weather conditions. It's also clear that, like, in terms of visual damage, like, it only goes as far as scratches, right? Like, they're not focused on visual damage, and to some people that's probably a problem, but I understand that. Like, if you want like full on damage, go ahead and check out Wreckfest. Wreckfest is a great game that balances great mechanical damage and actual physical damage. Like, you'll see bumpers fly off, you'll see parts rip off. It's a great game. But this Forza Motorsport focuses on mechanical damage, right? Of course, there's penalties for veering off track. I do like the fact that, like, again, the Drivatar thing is awesome, right? Like, Drivatars are your opponents, but Drivatars they utilize actual people's track times. They utilize the users that are playing, and they turn them into basically living CPUs. So you can score track time in the game, and that becomes the profile that other people are racing against when they're just playing offline, which is great. It's a cool idea because it makes a little more lively, you know.
Hopefully it doesn't, like, take the data of people, like, doing, like, cheap shit.
No, it doesn't.
Like, imagine if Mario Kart did that. It would, like, just take the data of people, like, fucking snaking or, like, doing, like, hop skips.
You know, could you imagine? But I will say, though, like, so that, like I said before, there's a scale between level 1 through 8 to, like, how much more difficult you can make those Drivatars go. When you get to level 4, you can really notice how much more aggressive they are. Like, they're really aggressive in the corners. They're going after the perfect lap more than what they would in level 1. You know, they're very soft in level 1. So it's really cool to see the difference when you go up there. I've gotten up to level 5, and it's not a bad deal. So the cool, you probably have seen this since you played this a little bit, but when you're in, before you choose your race, there are also 3 levels of difficulty you can choose from. Or at least simulation level, right? There's club rules, sport rules, and expert rules.
So I didn't get to this part. I just went to the first 2 races.
So the cool thing is, again, like, you talk about, like, you still get rewind as far up as, like, level 2, but level 3, you get the simulated damage, you get simulated fuel and tires, you get the rewinds off, and you get full penalties. So it's the closest thing to real simulated, like, track experience. You can set, if you have more than 11 opponents, you can set where you want to start, which is cool. I'm sure that other games have done this, but it's like, it makes it, again, the game within the game is you want to challenge yourself or you want to make it easier. It's like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna go, and I did this all the time. I'm gonna go last place. I'm gonna challenge myself to get all the way up, and they project what they believe you'll get to. So again, it's more of a challenge again, like, oh, how well can I do in this race?
Well, that's easy for me. First place every time.
So they won't let, I don't think, so what's funny is they don't even let you choose first, but you can do second.
Bullcrap, I want a refund.
Could you imagine? Yeah, man, so that's really cool, you know. There's also a thing called, again, when I talk about game within the game, there's track segment scoring, which again is just this attempt of gamifying, trying to make drivers more skillful, so it gets people to go after, like, oh, if I do really good on this part of the track segment, then I get a treat. I can get more points. A treat, basically, yeah. And
I get a biscuit.
yeah. So you know you're thinking about this too hard. But yeah, man. But you get scored on how well you follow the driving line, right? And that's what's cool about it. You get scored on that alone. You know. And the score that you get converts to points that you can use to modify the vehicle later. Now, those points, it's kind of weird. All those points go into, like, you get those points that go in, that, you know, from the track stuff, go into that one specific vehicle, which I think is probably the weirdest thing ever. This is the thing that's kind of weird. Car modification only works unless you drive your car enough to modify it. You can't use the money that you win from other races or anything like that on other cars. You can only improve your car if you drive that specific car, and that gives you the points to improve your car. That's it. That's the only way that you improve your car. It's progression-based performance, and it's like Turn 10 is like forcing you to mod the cars their way. They really want you to sink your teeth into one car, and I get it, but I think it's unnecessary. It's like, I'll play when I want to. If I, you know, like, I want to play this car or I want to improve this car, like, I'll do it that way. But you have to go through the way that they want to do it, and you know, it's fine. I will say, you know, nothing new here when you're looking at the career mode. You know, you've seen this type of menu in several games already for many, many years now. This menu design is so familiar. We've seen it so many times. You know,
not in just racing games either.
Yeah, and so this is a very, like, it's right there. Like when I'm talking about lack of personality in a game, this doesn't have any personality. It's like everything that you would expect is here, right?
Is it static like this, or like this?
No, well, yeah, it's static like this. These icons,
like, that needs to be like, these need to be in motion.
You would think, but you know, again, Turn 10.
Like, they can be static, but when you highlight them, they can go in motion. That'd be cool.
So
doesn't, like, I think a fucking what was that game we play on the Switch all the time?
Horizon Chase Turbo, right?
Yeah, Horizon Chase. They have like a similar menu to this, but like things are animated.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it's too difficult over there. You know, but again,
it's hard.
So in career mode, they want you to go through these tours. So they want you to do the modern tour and finish all the cups, and then enthusiast tour and move through all the cups. If you want to get your speed on, you actually can go to featured, and that's where you kind of can. They'll have all of these more heavy performance vehicles, high performance, I mean, and so you can sort of get into faster cars before, like, instead of having to climb through the Builder's Cup, like the sort of generic mode, and slowly reach your way, you know what I mean? Like, you can actually get there, and that's kind of cool. I appreciate that, you know. Other modes other than that, there is a time attack mode, which, you know, that's fine. It's called, what is it called? It's called Rivals, and it gives you a lot of, it's basically like super time trial. If you want to call it that, it's super time trial. You know, it's fine, you know. I like the way that the time trial works here, because if you do better, you don't have to quit the race. What's cool is they'll just, every lap that you do, and you get a better lap than the previous person you're competing against. What happens is they will literally just put in a new ghost. They'll put in a new ghost, and you could just keep driving your car. You could drive your car for, like, ever, basically, and improve your lap time over and over and over again. But a new ghost comes in, and it's great. It's a great way to keep the movement going instead of having to quit, start over, and go from there. I like that at least. There's a media section. Do I have that in there? Yeah, there's a media section where it shares replays and images globally. There's of course the store, but end of the day, very long review here. But end of the day, look, like if you're looking to like dip your toes into a racing sim, this is it. This is a solid option. There's a lot of replayability here. There's a lot of gameplay options here. There's a lot that you can do to make this a cool experience. But there's also just the bland. But that's all inside. The shell around it is so bland. The user interface is bland. The car collection is bland. The track selection is bland. Well, the track selection is fine because you can customize it, but it's like, wow, 20. You're kind of limited there. But, it just kind of weighs down what should be a flagship racing experience. So, overall, I hope, at the end of the day, wow. Knocked out, motherfucker. Damn.
Fuck.
I know. It was a bar is so boring. I understand, but
it wasn't. I'm just like it's been a long day.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But look. That's Forza Horizon though. It's just it's mid. It's a mid racing game. It's one of those. It's one.
I think I said everything I need to say about this one. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you.
The only thing I want to mention is like it makes good use of the triggers. Because like not many.
That's the only. By the way, that's the only thing we never got to. That's the only real thing. I was looking online to try and build the research for this review. Like, what does the Xbox controller do differently than the previous? And it doesn't do anything really except like slightly better triggers. Like they on their own website, they don't mention anything except the share button, slightly refined triggers, and that's weird. Like vibration.
There's motor in the triggers, but like not many games use that. I don't think a Hi-Fi Rush even makes use of it.
Right.
The only other game that made use of there's probably a lot of games out there, but like the only other game that I noticed that made use of those rumble triggers, those motor triggers, is Tetris.
Man,
like when there's a beat, it just like has a beat inside the triggers. So I'm like, ooh,
that's quite a surprise, man. I'll be honest with you.
Motor triggers are cool. I wish more games use them.
Yeah, and again, I just don't. When you think about like we were talking about with Spider-Man in the prior episode, it's like wow, that's doing so much with a controller there. It's like when even your controller has limits. Like I like the fact that the triggers have that, but there's not much else on the Xbox controller. It's a very what are we emphasizing? Oh, well, we do a little bit of trigger effect. Okay, all right, yeah. It just feels like Microsoft is, I don't know. We'll see what happens with this game in the future. I will keep going in through this because I'm in it right now, and it feels good to jump back into a racing sim after so long. But
yeah, I respect Sony's innovation with controllers more than I do with Nintendo's because they have a good middle ground between regular for regular gamers and for gimmicky gamers.
Yeah.
Because they tried to start it with the PS3, and they weren't really making use of the 6-axis at all. Early they were, but at the moment we don't fucking care about this shit, even though it was in there. But when it came around to the PS4, it was like, oh no, we're still gonna have gyro and shit in our controllers and speakers. We won't make much use of it, but it'll be in there. And some games made use of it. It was just good that they just kept the gimmicks inside the controller. And then PS5, the DualSense, it's the ultimate version of what they're trying to go for. It's the ultimate gimmick controller. It has speakers, it has gyro, and the adaptive triggers are great.
The touchpad's still there.
The touchpad is still there. And
doesn't even necessarily need to be there.
And those adaptive triggers, it's like an arcade experience inside my house where we got into that point.
Yeah. Did you mention the light in there? The slight light bar in there too?
The PS4 made more use than the.
It did, but it's still,
fucking...
it's more showy now than it is, than it was in the 4 because they didn't utilize it in the 4. But it's just the fact that, like you said, in an arcade experience, it looks cool and it functions very well. So yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough because you look at that Xbox One controller. I'm gonna be honest, it looks worse than the Xbox.
I mean, we have like leaked documents of like they're trying to make like a controller that's like inspired by the DualSense of their own.
Well, I mean, I just I
would like a haptic feedback Xbox.
I agree. I think we all know like there's nothing seemingly better than the 3. I think they spent all the money in the world on the 360 controllers, so they made perfection. Like that. Yeah, that's perfection.
I think it's going to be like this. The Xbox One controller will with haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. That'd be sweet.
Yeah,
I like that.
We'll see, guys. This has been Blasting Turbo Reports, talking about Forza Horizon, Motorsport, talking about racing sims, just having a good time, guys. You can find us, of course, on the Screen Blast podcast, Screen Blast Society, of course. At Screen
I didn't fall asleep. There was like a dirt in my eyelids, and I was trying to look down.
That's definitely how people look when dirt's in their eye.
It was like at the bottom of my eyelids. I was trying to look for it.
You mean sand was in your fucking eyes?
Yeah, it was like at the. I was trying to look for it. It's the bottom of my eyelids.
Anyway, guys, you can find the sleeping motherfucker over at
K9Biscuits. It's K9BISKUTS.com.
And of course, you can find me at Democracy, ATHEMOCRACY, over at Brian the Baltimorean on Instagram, or you can find me right here, of course, on Screen Blast Society. We hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more.
Logging out, everybody. My fucking tablet died.
Oh shit.